Park stood in the briefing room with his hands behind his back. His uniform was perfect. Not a single wrinkle, not a single spot of dust. He had learned long ago that first impressions mattered, especially when your commanders were about to change your entire life. General walked in with three people had never seen before. Two of them wore expensive suits. The third wore a white lab coat. All of them looked nervous. Did not like when important people looked nervous. "Lieutenant Park," the general said, "sit down." Sat, he kept his face calm and empty. 8 years in the military had taught him how to hide his feelings. He had protected diplomats in war zones. He had stood guard while bombs exploded nearby. He had never shown fear. He would not show it now. "What do you know about the general asked. Thought for a moment. "They are aliens, sir. First contact was made 2 years ago. They control a large empire across many star systems. They look like insects but much bigger. That is all I know." The woman in the lab coat leaned forward. "They are not just aliens, Lieutenant. They are the most powerful civilization we have ever encountered. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. Their empire spans over 200 planets, and their queen mother rules over trillions of beings." Nodded slowly. He still did not understand why he was here. He was just a soldier, a guard. He knew nothing about aliens or empires or technology. One of the men in suits spoke next. "They have offered us a deal. They will share their faster-than-light travel technology with Earth. In exchange, they want a cultural exchange. One human will live among them for 5 years. This human will serve as a ceremonial guard for their youngest princess." Felt something cold move through his chest. He was beginning to understand. "You want me," he said. It was not a question. General nodded. "We reviewed every soldier in the Defense Corps. You are the best. You have protected 17 diplomats without a single failure. You remained calm when the Jakarta embassy was attacked. You did not panic when you faced the Tehran crisis. Most importantly, you have one quality that others lack." "What quality, sir?" "You do not judge." The general's eyes were serious. "They are not human. They do not look human. They do not think like humans. Most people who see them feel fear or disgust. We need someone who can look at an 8-foot insect creature and see a person worth protecting." Was quiet for a long moment. He thought about his mother back in. He thought about the small apartment where he grew up. He thought about Earth, the only home he had ever known. Then he thought about the stars, about standing on an alien ship, about protecting someone no human had ever protected before. "I will do it," he said. 3 months later, stood on the landing platform as the shuttle descended from the clouds. The ship was beautiful in a strange way. It looked like it was grown, not built. The metal seemed to flow like water frozen in time. The door opened, forced himself not to step back. The guards came out first. They were massive, 9 feet tall. Their bodies were covered in hard shell that shone like black glass. They had 4 arms, 2 legs, and heads with large eyes that reflected light like mirrors. Their mouths had sharp parts that moved constantly. Behind them came the princess. Princess was smaller than her guards, but still much taller than. She stood about 8 feet high. Her shell was not black but deep purple, almost blue. It shimmered when she moved. Her eyes were different too. Where the guards had cold, empty eyes, hers seemed to hold something deeper. Curiosity, perhaps, or intelligence. She stopped in front of. Her head tilted to one side like a bird examining something interesting. "You are the human," she said. Her voice came from a small device on her chest. It translated her clicking sounds into words. "You are the one who will guard me." "Yes, Your Highness," bowed deeply. He had practiced this bow many times. "I am Lieutenant Park of the United Earth Defense Corps. I am honored to serve you." "You are small," said. "Very small. How do humans protect anything? A single strike from my smallest guard would break every bone in your body." Some of the human diplomats nearby shifted uncomfortably. Did not move. He did not look away from those strange, mirror-like eyes. "With our lives, Your Highness," he said calmly. "Size is not the measure of devotion. A human guard does not defeat enemies through strength. He defeats them through sacrifice. He puts his body between danger and the one he protects. He does not run. He does not hide. He stands, even when standing means death." The princess was silent. Her eyes seemed to examine him more closely. The sharp parts around her mouth moved slowly. "You would die for me?" she asked. "You do not know me. I am not of your species. Why would you die for a stranger?" Considered the question carefully. He wanted to give an honest answer. "Because that is my duty," he said. "But also because every life has value. Human, or you are a person. You have thoughts and feelings and dreams. That makes you worth protecting." Princess did not respond for a long time. When she finally spoke, her translator made her voice sound soft, almost confused. "No one has ever said such things to me before. You are a strange creature, Park." She turned and walked toward the shuttle. At the door, she stopped and looked back. "Come, human, let us see if your words match your heart." Followed her into the ship. Behind him, Earth grew smaller and smaller. Ahead, the stars waited. He did not know it then, but his life had just changed forever. 3 years passed on the royal ship called the Throne of Eternity. Learned that time moved differently in space. Days blended into weeks. Weeks became months. The stars outside his window changed slowly as the great ship traveled between worlds. At first, his job was simple. He stood outside the princess's chambers. He walked behind her when she moved through the ship. He was a symbol, nothing more. The guards did the real protecting, was just there to show that humans and could work together. But Princess was curious about him. She would stop during her walks and ask him questions, strange questions, simple questions. Do humans sleep every night? Why do you eat so many different foods? What is the purpose of laughter? Answered every question honestly. He told her about Earth, about the blue oceans and green forests, about cities that glowed at night like fallen stars, about his mother, who still sent him video messages that took weeks to arrive across the vast distance of space. "Your mother," said one day, "you speak of her often. Is she important to you?" "Very important," said. "She raised me alone after my father died. She worked 2 jobs so I could go to school. Everything I am, I owe to her." His head tilted. "Among my people, children do not know their mothers. We are raised by caretakers. The Queen Mother has millions of children. She cannot know them all." "That sounds lonely," said before he could stop himself. He expected her to be angry. Instead, she was quiet for a long moment. "Yes," she finally said, "I think it is." After that, something changed between them. Began to seek his company, not for questions but for conversation. She would call him to her chambers and ask him to tell her stories. Stories about Earth, about human history, about love and war and hope and fear. Told her about Korean legends, about the rabbit on the moon, about brave warriors and clever scholars, about his grandmother who used to make soup that could cure any sadness. Listened to everything with her strange, beautiful eyes. "Humans are remarkable," she said one night. "You live such short lives, less than 100 years, yet you fill those years with so much meaning, so much connection. We live for thousands of years, but I wonder if we truly live at all." The attack came without warning. Was standing outside's chambers when the alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed. The ship shook with explosions. "Assassins!" someone shouted. "Assassins from the hive!" Did not hesitate. He burst through the door into his room. She was standing in the center, her guards forming a circle around her. But there were too many enemies. Dark shapes moved through the smoke. Plasma bolts flew through the air. One of the assassins broke through the guard line. It raised its weapon at. Moved. He did not think. He did not plan. He simply threw his body in front of the princess. The plasma bolt hit him in the chest. The pain was beyond anything he had ever felt. It was like being burned and frozen at the same time. He fell to the ground. He could not breathe. He could not move. The world was turning dark. But through the darkness he heard screaming, not with fear, with rage. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was the princess tearing the assassin apart with her own hands. Woke 6 weeks later in a medical pod. His body was wrapped in strange gel that felt warm and cool at the same time. Machines beeped around him. And sitting beside his pod, her massive form curled up like a sleeping cat, was Princess. She woke when he moved. "You are alive," she said. Her voice sounded different through the translator, shaky, emotional. "The doctors said humans should not survive such wounds, but you did. Your body healed itself. They called it remarkable." "I am hard to kill," said weakly. He tried to smile. "My mother always said I was too stubborn to die." Did not laugh. She moved closer to the pod. Her eyes were very close to his face. "Why?" she asked. "Why did you do that? You owe me nothing. Your species owes me nothing. You almost died for a stranger, for an alien, for someone who is not even the same kind of creature as you." Thought about the question. His mind was still foggy from the healing drugs, but he found the answer easily. "You asked me once how humans protect anything," he said. "This is how. We decide something matters and then it does. You matter to me, Princess. Not because of duty, not because of politics, but because you are kind, because you are curious, because you sat beside my bed for 6 weeks when you could have been anywhere else." Was very still. "Among my people," she said quietly, "such devotion is given only to the Queen Mother. No one has ever offered it to a princess, especially not someone from another species." "Then your people are missing something important," said. Reached out. Her hard, sharp hand touched his face very gently. It was the first time they had ever touched. "You are strange, Park," she whispered. "You are small and soft and you break so easily. But somehow you are the bravest person I have ever known." From that day forward they were never far apart, consulted him on everything. She learned human games. She tried human food. She watched human movies on the small screen in his quarters. And slowly, without either of them noticing, something grew between them. Something that had no name in any language. Something that would change the galaxy forever. The signs began small, started eating more. Her shell began to change color, shifting from purple to a deeper blue. She slept longer. She moved slower. The doctors examined her and grew very quiet. "It is happening," the chief doctor told privately. "The princess is entering metamorphosis." Did not understand. What does that mean? The doctor's eyes flickered. All royalty change as they age. Princesses become something more, something greater. It is called the chrysalis phase. She will sleep for many weeks. When she wakes, she will be transformed. Transformed into what? The doctor hesitated. Into a queen. Felt cold. He knew what this meant, had told him about her species. There was only one queen mother in the empire. Princesses only transformed when the queen mother died, but the queen mother was alive. "This should not be happening," the doctor continued. "The transformation is triggered by great emotion. Usually it is triggered by the death of the ruling queen, but sometimes, very rarely, it can be triggered by something else, something powerful enough to change the very nature of a royal." The doctor looked at for a long moment. "What have you done to her, human?" Called for him that night. Her voice was weak, her body trembled. "I am scared," she admitted. This was the first time she had ever said such words. "I can feel my body changing. I can feel myself becoming something else. I do not want to forget who I am." Sat beside her bed. He took her hand in his. It was hard and cold, but he held it gently. "You will not forget," he said. "Change is part of life. On Earth, caterpillars become butterflies. They do not forget what they were. They simply become more." "Will you stay with me?" asked. "While I sleep, will you guard me?" Always said, I will be here when you wake. The chrysalis formed around her 3 days later. It was beautiful and terrible. A cocoon of hardened material that glowed with soft blue light was inside, changing, becoming something new. The court was in chaos. The queen mother demanded answers. How could a princess transform while the ruling queen still lived? It had not happened in 10,000 years. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a disaster. Some whispered that the human was to blame. Ignored them all. He stood outside the chrysalis chamber. He did not eat. He did not sleep. Day after day, he stood guard. On the 5th day, his legs gave out. The doctors forced him to rest. He fought them, but his human body was too weak. On the 20th day, he could barely stand. His eyes were hollow, his face was thin. But still, he returned to his post every morning. You will die if you continue this, the chief doctor warned him. Your body cannot survive without proper rest. Then I will die, said simply. I promised her I would be here. On the 47th day, the chrysalis cracked. Was sitting on the floor, his back against the wall. He had not slept in 3 days. His vision was blurry. His hands shook. But he saw the crack form. He saw the light pour out. He forced himself to stand. The chrysalis broke apart. Liquid spilled across the floor, and from within something rose. She was massive, 12 feet tall. Her shell was no longer purple or blue. It was black like the deepest space between stars. Wings unfolded from her back, shimmering with colors that had no names. Her eyes blazed with power. This was no longer princess. This was queen. The in the room fell to their knees. Their bodies trembled. They could not look at her directly. Her presence was overwhelming, ancient, powerful beyond measure. Only remained standing. Queen looked down at him. For a moment her eyes were strange, empty, like she did not recognize him. Then something flickered, something human, something warm. You stayed, she said. Her voice was different now, deeper. It resonated through the room like music. You almost killed yourself, but you stayed. I promised, said. His voice cracked. His legs were shaking. I always keep my promises. Moved toward him. Each step made the floor tremble. She was terrifying. She was beautiful. She was something beyond human understanding. She stopped in front of him. Her face was far above his head now. She could crush him with one hand. Instead, she knelt. The gasped. A queen never knelt to anyone for any reason, but knelt until her eyes were level with his. I remember everything, she said softly. Every story you told me, every game we played, every moment. I thought the transformation would take those memories away, but they are still here. You are still here. She reached out and touched his face with one massive hand. The touch was impossibly gentle. You guarded me through my most vulnerable moment, she continued. You nearly died for me, again. What am I supposed to do with you, Park? Smiled weakly. I suppose you could give me a day off. Laughed. It was a sound like thunder and wind chimes mixed together, beautiful and strange. No, she said. I do not think I will ever let you go. At the time, thought she was joking. He was wrong. The message from Earth arrived 3 months after his transformation. Ambassador spoke directly to the new queen through a video screen. The cultural exchange program has been a success, said carefully. Lieutenant Park has served with honor. Earth thanks the Empire for this opportunity. We would now like to discuss his return. Queen sat on her throne. The throne was new, built for her after her transformation. It was made of black metal that seemed to absorb light. No, she said. Blinked. I am sorry, Your Majesty. I do not understand. The human stays, said. Lieutenant Park will remain in my service, permanently. The exchange program is over. The ambassador's face went pale. Your Majesty, with respect, Lieutenant Park is a citizen of Earth. He has family. He has a life waiting for him. You cannot simply keep him. I am a queen, replied. Her voice was cold. I can do whatever I wish." She turned to look at who stood beside her throne. His face showed nothing. He had learned to hide his feelings well, but inside his heart was beating very fast. "He saved my life," continued, "twice. By law, when someone saves a royal's life, they belong to that royal forever. He is mine now. By your human customs, I believe this is called a life debt. I am claiming it." His hands shook. "This will cause serious problems between our peoples. Earth will not accept this." "Then Earth will have to learn to accept it." The screen went dark. Stood very still. His mind was full of confusion. Part of him was angry. She had not asked him. She had not given him a choice. She had simply decided his fate like he was a piece of property. But another part of him felt something else, something he was afraid to name. "You should have asked me," he said quietly. Turned to look at him. Her massive form blocked out the lights behind her. "Would you have said yes?" Opened his mouth. Then he closed it. He did not know the answer. "I cannot lose you," said. Her voice changed. The coldness melted away. In its place was something raw, something vulnerable. "I know this is selfish. I know I am taking your freedom. But when I transformed, when I became this thing that I am now, the only thing I could think about was you. You are the only thing in this universe that makes me feel real." The next 18 months were difficult. Earth sent angry messages, trade agreements stopped, the technology sharing ended, politicians on both sides talked about war, the news called a prisoner, they called a monster. But the truth was more complicated. Gave quarters that were larger than his entire apartment on Earth. She gave him access to anything he wanted. Food, entertainment, communication with his mother. He was free to move anywhere on the ship. He was free to speak to anyone. The only thing he was not free to do was leave. And slowly realized he did not want to leave. Spent time with him every day. She learned to cook human food. Her first attempts were disasters. She burned rice. She added too much salt. She could not understand why humans needed so many different spices. But she kept trying. Night after night she practiced, because she knew it mattered to him. "Why are you doing this?" asked one evening. He watched her struggle to fold dumplings with hands that were designed to tear enemies apart. "You have servants, thousands of them. Any one of them could cook for me." "It is not the same," said. "When you told me about your grandmother's soup, you said the secret ingredient was love. You said food tastes better when someone who cares about you makes it. I want to understand that." Was quiet for a long time. "You could end all of this," he finally said. "Let me go back to Earth. Let the diplomats sign their papers. The war talk would stop. Your people and my people could be friends again." "No. I am not worth this much trouble. I am just one human. One small, weak, short-lived human. In 100 years I will be dead and you will still be here." Stopped cooking. She turned to face him. Her eyes were very bright. "You think I do not know this?" she asked. Her voice trembled. "You think I do not think about this every single day? Humans live for maybe a century. I will live for 5,000 years. Do you understand what you have done to me, Park?" She moved closer. Her massive body blocked out everything else. "You have made a queen love something temporary, something that will die and leave me alone for thousands of years. Every day I spend with you is a day closer to losing you forever. And still, I cannot let you go. This need I feel for you, this terrible, selfish need to keep you close, is this what humans call love?" Looked up at her. He saw the pain in her eyes, the fear, the desperate hope. "Yes," he said softly, "that is exactly what it is." "Then help me," whispered. "Help me find a way to keep you without destroying everything else. Because I am lost. I am a queen with the power to destroy worlds, and I am completely lost." For the first time, reached up and touched her face, his small hand against her cold, hard cheek. "We will find a way," he promised, "together." He just did not know how. The shuttle from Earth arrived without warning. was eating breakfast when the alarm sounded. An unscheduled ship was approaching the throne of eternity. The guards prepared for an attack. But it was not an attack. It was his mother. Park walked off the shuttle like she owned the place. She was 67 years old. Her hair was gray. Her back was bent from years of hard work, but her eyes were sharp as knives. Behind her came 3 nervous diplomats and a team of scientists, but everyone could see that was the one in charge. Queen received them in her throne room. Her guards stood ready. Her massive form radiated power and danger. Any normal human would have fallen to their knees in terror. Looked up at the giant alien queen and clicked her tongue. "So," she said in Korean, her accent thick even through the translator, "you are the one who stole my son." The room went silent. No one had ever spoken to a queen this way. The guards tensed, held his breath, stared down at the tiny old woman. Something strange passed across her alien face. "I did not steal him," she said. "I claimed him. There is a difference." "Is there?" Crossed her arms. "You took him without asking. You kept him against his will. You caused a crisis between our peoples. In Korea, we have a word for people who do such things. I will not say it because I am polite." One of the diplomats made a small choking sound, felt like his heart might stop, but did not get angry. Instead, she leaned forward on her throne. Her eyes studied with intense curiosity. "You are not afraid of me," she said. "Why, I could kill you with one movement." Snorted. "I am 67 years old. I have survived a bad marriage, raised a child alone, worked 2 jobs for 30 years, and watched my husband die in a hospital bed. You think a big insect scares me? I have faced worse." Was silent for a long moment. Then she made a sound that might have been a laugh. "I understand now where your son gets his courage." His face softened slightly. "You love him, do not deny it. I could see it in the messages he sent me. The way he talked about you. He described your eyes, you know. A soldier does not describe someone's eyes unless he is lost." She looked at, her eyes were warm but sad. "And you love her too, my stubborn, foolish son. You always did give your heart too easily." Could not speak, his throat was too tight. Turned back to, "Here is the truth. I did not come here to take my son back. I came here to find a solution." The diplomats behind her shifted nervously. This was not part of the plan. "What solution?" asked carefully. Smiled. It was a dangerous smile. The smile of a woman who had planned something very clever. "Marry him." The word fell like a bomb. The guards made sounds of shock. The diplomats dropped their papers, felt like the floor had disappeared beneath his feet. "What?" said. "You heard me," stepped closer to the throne. "If you take my son as your official mate, he is no longer just an Earth citizen. By law, he becomes part of your household. Earth cannot demand back a member of a royal family. And by human law, we do not separate married couples. Everyone gets what they want." Wings rustled with emotion. "You would give your only son to an alien, to a creature that is not even remotely human." "I am not giving him." His voice was firm. "I am giving him permission. That is different. He is a grown man. He makes his own choices, but a mother's blessing matters, and I am here to give it." She turned to face. Her eyes were wet. "I watched you grow up," she said softly. "I watched you become a soldier. I watched you go into space. Every day I worried. Every night I prayed. But when you talked about her, when you described this strange alien princess who asked you questions about human life, I heard something I had never heard before. I heard joy. I heard peace. I heard a man who had finally found where he belonged." She took his hands in hers. Her hands were old and wrinkled. They had worked hard his whole life to give him a future. "I do not care if she is human or alien or something else entirely," said. "I care that she loves you. I care that she makes you happy. That is all any mother wants." Felt tears running down his face. "Mother." "Now stop crying and answer a question." She squeezed his hands. "Do you love her? Yes or no?" He looked at this massive, terrifying, beautiful creature who had turned the galaxy upside down just to keep him close. He thought about every moment they had shared, every story, every laugh, every quiet night watching stars drift past the window. "Yes," he said, "I love her." Nodded, she turned back to. "Well, what is your answer? Will you take my son as your mate? Will you love him and care for him and make sure he eats properly? Because he forgets to eat when he is busy. Very annoying habit." Rose from her throne. She descended the steps slowly. Her massive body moved with grace that should have been impossible. She stopped in front of and his mother. Then, to the shock of everyone in the room, Queen knelt. She knelt before a small, old human woman. "I would be honored," said, "to have Park as my mate. I promise to love him, to protect him, to make sure he eats." Smiled, "Then I give my blessing." The wedding happened 3 months later. It was the largest event in galactic history. Trillions watched across hundreds of worlds, humans, and stood together as witnesses. Wore a traditional Korean hanbok, wore ceremonial armor that had not been used in 10,000 years. They were ridiculous together, a giant alien queen and a small human soldier. But when they looked at each other, everyone could see the truth. This was love, real love, the kind that crossed species and stars and the vast emptiness of space. Cried through the entire ceremony. She was appointed the first human ambassador to the throne. The technology sharing resumed. Peace returned. And in the years that followed, beings across the galaxy told the story of the human who guarded a princess and won a queen. Not through strength, not through conquest, but through the simple act of caring. They said that humanity's greatest weapon was not its ships or soldiers. It was the human heart. And somewhere in the stars, a queen held her human mate close and whispered words in a language only they understood. They were home,